Hey parents, welcome to the Crazy Cool Podcast. I'm Don Manning.
And I'm Suzanne, and we are so excited to have you join us to rethink the way you do family.
So today we're going to continue our discussion on culture. Last week we talked a lot about why culture was important and kind of what culture was. Today we want to talk about this question. What is the culture like in your home? And so for many parents, that is a bad question to ask because maybe, there's a lot of fighting in the home or maybe there's a lot of silence in the home. But culture in our family, as we grew up and as we grew up in our marriage and stuff. So you had a couple of examples where you thought that we had a culture shift in our home.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was the first time, but it's just the first one that I remember that Molly was about 3 years old. It's our oldest daughter. She's 29 now, so it was a long time ago. Everywhere we would go, whether it be the park or the, nanny's house or the cousin's house or even the grocery store, when it was time to leave, she would throw a fit. And I remember, do you remember we were done? You remember being so exasperated?
Yeah, which is the opposite of most kids. They throw a fit when they have to leave home or they leave their mom or whatever it is. They leave the safety. She was throwing fits about having to go home.
Yeah, and I don't know, at some point we said, Molly, why don't you want to go home? Why don't you want to, be at your house? And in her 3-year-old little wisdom, she just said, because everybody there is grouchy. And it's not any fun. And then I remember us talking about that and us coming to the realization, she's right.
Yeah, we didn't want to be there either.
Yeah, we didn't want to be there either. It wasn't any fun. It was a place where we were nagging each other all the time and there were unmet expectations and everybody was unhappy with each other. And we just decided, okay, I don't blame you. And so do you remember what we did to adjust it and to fix it for her?
This is one of my wife's brilliance. She threw it to me so I could say how brilliant she was. Not really, but she's...
That's right.
She would set great expectations for when we got home. Like, when we get home, we're going to cook your favorite food, spaghetti, or when we're going to read a story, or we're going to take a bath or something. And so, hey, you can stay here for 10 minutes at wherever we were, at this, at the cousin's house or a friend's house or whoever.
But then we're going to go. Expectation of what was going to happen.
Yeah, and then we're going to go home, and it really changed things.
Well, and it set it up for us, for you and I too, because we were now looking forward to going and doing something fun once we got home, instead of getting into the rat race of the chores and the activities that had to happen.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the first times we realized that culture in our home was important, and
it's powerful,
and it could actually make our kid misbehave.
Right.
The culture in our home that we set would make our kid misbehave and want to throw a fit. And what a realization that was, that we could. For me, it was like, wow, I can do something that she doesn't throw a fit. That's awesome. I like that power.
Right. Very encouraging. Another time I was thinking about was fast forward several years, and we had the 4 little girls.
And many more kids.
Yeah, exactly. I think we might have even had Michael. I think I might have even been pregnant again. I felt like I was always pregnant. And I just remember being stressed out all the time and being frustrated. And so I'm sure you would walk in the door and feel it too.
This is the one where I did good.
I was just a basket case all the time. And I was tired all the time. And what that looked like in everyday life is that if a child spilled their drink, I freaked out. Or if they made a mess, or if they had an accident and it became something that I was going to have to use energy to take care of or fix or clean up or whatever, then I would just lose it. And I would say that I was probably described as an angry mom. Super
and I
frustrated.
bet there's a lot of moms listening to this, or maybe dads, don't say if your wife's like this, that you're not listening to this, but a lot of wives that are in that situation, a lot of little kids at home.
Yeah, I call it the wiping season, where you're wiping everything. You're wiping their nose, you're wiping their, fanny, you're wiping the kitchen counters, you're wiping everything. And it feels like it's never ending.
And you were not happy.
And I was. And I think that my husband saw me on the brink of a nervous breakdown, and I saw how the children were not being mothered well. And so he came in with some help. And how did you swoop in and save the day?
Oh, no, you tell him.
Okay. All right. And so he just said, okay, here, babe, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to get you some help. And so I'm going to hire you somebody to come in and help with the laundry in the house a couple times a month. And there's a couple programs like Little Mother's Day Out, where you can have a break from the kids for a couple days a week so that you can have some time for yourself, so that you can be refreshed. And it was miraculous what it did for the culture in our home. It rearranged my stress level so then I could love well and serve well and mother well and feel like I was being a success.
One of my father wins.
And husband wins.
And husband wins too,
for
yeah.
sure.
We just wanted to give you a couple of examples of where culture shifts made a difference in our home. Let it lead into the questions we're going to ask you is, what is the culture like in your home? So let us just ask you some leading questions to help you analyze that. So is your home peaceful or is it chaotic?
Yeah, are you yelling and screaming all the time, or do you respond with patience and kindness?
Is it kind?
Yeah.
Or is it rude? And again, we're not talking about, it's not necessarily an either or. Think of it like a spectrum, because we know that you're not always kind and we're not always rude either, but which one are you more of? And, and remember that the negative stuff will always outweigh the positive. The way it works is that you need to be more positive than negative to make the scale equal, if you will. But think about this. Is your home more accepting or is it more rejecting? Is it a fun place to be or a tense place to be? And the last one may get you.
Yeah. Do you want to be there? Husbands, do you want to come home from work? Moms, if you're a stay-at-home mom, do you want to get out of bed in the morning and face the day? Or if you are a leave the home and work mom, then do you want to come home?
Hopefully we haven't put you on the ditch at this point about the culture of your home and thinking, oh my goodness, this is terrible or anything like that. And even if it is, even if you're kind of going through a depressed state right now as you're thinking about it, can we just encourage you that God wants a new start for your family? He says in 2 Corinthians 5:17, he says, the old has gone, the new has come. That's supposed to apply to us individually as believers, but guess what? When you become a new creation in Christ, then your family will also become a new creation as you influence the culture in your home.
Well, and if you take that word new creation, inside that word is the word create. And that's what you get to do. You get to create the culture in your home. Whatever culture that's there right now, you have created it. And so you have the power to do that. And so if you don't like the culture in your home, guess what? Recreate it to a culture that you do want. Go through and pick and choose the characteristics and qualities that you do want in your home and create that.
Here's what we say about the culture in your home is that your home should be your favorite place in the world. You have the ability, parents, to make your home your favorite place in the world. And I know that may not feel like that to you now, and it certainly didn't feel like it to us when Molly was 3 and she was throwing a fit about coming home. I mean, I wish you guys could see us parent when our kids were younger, then you'd have so much hope right now that you can change the culture of your home. But, you fast forward to today and 7 kids, and we have worked hard over a quarter century. Those lessons we learned early, we have applied. Our culture in our home is amazing now. Our kids want to come home. It's a place.
Our sons don't want to leave home.
That's true. We have 4 daughters that are out of the home, 3 sons that are in the home, and we can't get them to leave the home.
Well, they're teenagers, so it's not time for them to leave, but they just would rather be home than out and
about. They love to be in their homes, no doubt. And so, but our daughters come home, and it's a place of rest. People get along, but we have cultivated that culture for many, many years. And so we want to just kind of give you some very practical. Last week, if you were listened to our podcast, we were talking about reading just the last 4 chapters of the book. We talk about culture in our book, Crazy Cool Family, and chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12, section 3 of our book is totally about culture. So during the month of March, if you want to give yourself an assignment to read that and it'll give you a great overview of what culture is. But today, let's just give them like a good first step.
Okay.
And first step towards changing culture, and that's this. Take 5 minutes and ask God this question. What are the top 2 things, maybe 3 at the most, top 2 or 3 things, God, what would you like me to do to change the culture in my home? And just sit there for a minute and think about it and allow the Lord to speak to you, and then write them down. Just write down. If you're a paper person, just get your little pad and write that down. If you're a phone person, put it in your notes where you're going to be able to go back to it. And just take those 2 or 3 things. What are some examples you might give them, Suzanne, that could change the culture?
Yeah, I think that God might tell you to bring in some more fun in your household. I mean, laughter is incredible. And so maybe moms, we need to be silly, or dads, we need to be silly and bring in some laughter. maybe it's some peace. When we talked earlier, we talked about culture is how we respond. And so maybe instead of responding in a frustrated way, maybe the Lord's going to tell you your home needs peace. And so you would respond in a peaceful, patient way.
Yeah, it might even be as simple as your 3-year-old daughter likes to tell stories, and your job is just to listen to them when she tells them instead of looking at your phone or being bored with it or being annoyed that you have to listen to it.
Or distracted and doing the next thing that's on your to-do list. That's good.
Or maybe your wife wants to tell stories. And so maybe you should listen to those too. Or maybe
your husband
wants to
he
tell
loves
stories.
to talk.
Yes.
And so
Culture doesn't change overnight. It changes one little step at a time. It changes one belief change at a time. Today, if anything, just believe that you have the power to change the culture in your home. Again, what is the culture like in your home? And then, what would you like the culture to be like in your home?
And what do you want to do about it?
And what are you going to do about it? Take some small steps towards making that happen. We're so thankful that you're listening to us. And we would love for you to help us spread Crazy Cool Family by sharing this on social media. And like we talked about before, checking out our book. You can get it on Amazon, on our website. You can get it in digital or you can get it in print form.
And if you have a parenting question or an issue that you would like us to discuss on a future podcast, well, email us at podcast@crazycoolfamily.com.
Go be crazy, parents. crazycoolfamily.com.